Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I think you're muted, Mr. Malinowski.
I am. So nobody heard my good afternoons, but they were there. All right, I've got 4 o'clock on the official Richland County Council computer I'm using here. So let's call the meeting to order for the March 2nd, 2021 Rules and Appointments Committee. Ms. Black is going to be running the meeting for us today, as Ms. Only's a little bit under the weather. So Ms. Black, if you're there, if you would please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Malinowski,
Here.
Barron,
Here.
Mackey.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. The first order of business on the agenda shows approval of the minutes, and then it says it will be under separate cover. I spoke with Miss Only earlier, well, in the week, yesterday it was, and she indicated with all the other meetings and work going on that she was really going to be hard. No, it was last week, because she said she was going to do them over the weekend. And I actually told her I thought she should take the weekend off for herself. And that's why we don't have the minutes. I said we can approve those at the next meeting. So there's no approval of minutes here, but we do have the adoption of the agenda. So I would entertain a motion there.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve the agenda
Second.
and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Black, if you'll call for the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Interviews. We have 2 interviews scheduled for the Community Relations Council. They've got 8 vacancies there. Ms. Black, do you know, are those counting the vacancies? Didn't we just do a couple for that group?
For this one in particular?
Yeah, for Community Relations Council.
No, sir, I'm not sure. I don't believe we have.
Okay.
So they're listed in our current vacancy that's published right now with 8 vacancies.
Right.
Oh, yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay. Are either of the individuals, I see Mr. Riley's name there.
Yes,
So
sir.
if we can, and I don't see Mr. Fickling, but Mr. Riley is listed first here, and normally we go in order. So if we can get to breakout room, that'd be good.
Yes, sir. Angela will set up the breakout room.
Elizabeth, neither you nor Lauren need to be in this session, do you?
No, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, Angela.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Malinowski would like for Tamar to join the breakout session.
I put her in there. Thank-
Okay, perfect.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Ms. Newton texted me and I put her over.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fickling, can you hear me?
I can. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm with the IT department and I'm running the breakout room. Their
Okay.
other interviewee is in a breakout session right now, and when they're done
Okay.
with him, then you'll get a prompt from me to join the breakout room.
Sounds good.
Just wanted you to be aware of that coming up at some point soon.
Okay. I
All right,
appreciate
thank you.
it. Thank you.
Bye.
All right, looks like we're all here. All right, that takes care of the interview portion. Next is item 5, items for action. This is the one we discussed some last time. Consider moving the Horizon meeting to Tuesday and have delivery of finished agendas to council members by Thursday close of business. And that's on pages 12 to 15. Any comments on what we received? If you had the time to review it. I would just bring everyone's attention to page 12 under council inquiry number 2, actually the reply. First paragraph of a reply, the county's attorney office has expressed concerns regarding its ability to meet the proposed deadline due to staffing. As there are a limited number of attorneys presently available, there may be occasions during which the office is unable to timely complete its review. Anyone care to comment on that one?
Yes, sir. I think that this is a problem from which we are currently experiencing due to lack of staff or shortage of staff. But I feel confident that once the staff, once our legal department is fully staffed, that perhaps this would not be a challenge. So the problem here that we're faced is getting staff in place. So this is a temporary problem, and it is definitely noted. However, it's a loaded problem because we need to go ahead and move forward with trying to get those positions filled.
Right, and that was the key word in their statement, that a limited number of attorneys presently available, exactly what I was
Right.
saying. So, hopefully we'll be able to move forward quickly and get that done. And also bear in mind that we did indicate we would start this on somewhat of a trial basis also. So a question I have is, under additional comments for consideration, it says the administrative due date should be 10 working days prior to committee consideration. Yet in the current rules we have under agendas, which is 4.4 on page 14, where they've made this potential change to 10 working days. I'm wondering why the amount was reduced. And I don't know if Ms. Myers or Administrator Brown can give us that, because originally they had to be in 2 weeks prior to.
Good afternoon, Mr. Malinowski. This is
Yes, Ms. Myers.
Good afternoon, Chairman Malinowski and members of the committee. In actuality, the days were not reduced but extended. Previously, with the 2 weeks, staff actually only had 7 working days, because you don't count the due date as being the council day. You actually count it as that preceding Thursday, because that's when the documents have to be to the clerk's office. So we have to count back from that, which gave us 7 working days, well, 7 days. And in those 7 days, you often included holidays. So we would actually lose that day and be further reduced to 6 days. So to make sure that staff had adequate time to review things, we did 10 working days, which I think was the original intent when you had the 2 weeks.
Okay, thanks for that clarification.
Yes.
Ms.
That
Myers.
makes sense.
Any other comments on what we were provided?
Mr. Chair, I would suggest we consider at least deferring this for a month or 2 until we get everything in place that we need. It's something we might want to consider.
Everything in place such as?
As maybe the what to mention, both with from the attorney's office or any other concerns that are expressed.
Well, bear in mind, from the attorney's office, while they expressed that one concern, they also ended by saying there may be occasions during which the office is unable to timely complete their reviews. So it sounds like they're not saying, hey, we can't do it at all right now. We just want you to know that we may be delayed sometimes and can't get it there.
Well, as long as we take that into consideration, I'm fine.
Yeah, and that's what we said way back in the beginning when we were speaking to Administrator Brown and Ms. Myers about this, that if we did it on a trial basis, we needed the staff input to see how it would work, if it would work. And we may start this and we may go 3 months and somebody will say, forget it, it's not working. So that's always a possibility. It's nothing hard and fast at this point. Like I said, it would be a trial basis, and it's a matter of just coming up with how much of a trial basis we want to do. Okay, so any other comments from anyone that's here in the meeting?
I believe Ms. Newton has her hand up first, Mr. Malinowski.
Okay, Ms. Newton, and then Mr. Brown, because the way I see him, it shows you first, Mr. Brown, but go ahead.
Mr. Brown is actually being kind. He was first, and I'm happy to yield if he would like.
I would not like that, Ms. Newton.
Okay, go ahead, Ms.
Always kind, always kind. Mr. Malinowski, my question, and forgive me because we did start this initial conversation many moons ago.
You did.
As we look at shifting the Horizon meeting, we're also looking at shifting the dates when information is due. And so I guess my question for legal and for staff, just to make sure that I clearly understand, is how much is that shifting your workload? By which I mean, if we are extending the deadline, do you essentially have the same amount of time as you had before, so that while, for example, staffing is always going to be a concern, is it still the same amount of time that you were going to have with the Wednesday Horizon meeting? We've just changed the date back. And I don't know that I have clearly expressed my question, so I'm happy to let somebody else who maybe understood it translate it for me. But if you had 10 days before and it was due on Wednesday, and you have 10 days now and it's due on Tuesday, that's what I want to understand. Or if you had 10 days before and now you have 5, I mean, that's a different kettle of fish.
I'm going to defer this to Ms. Ashia Myers, but it sounds to me like what she just explained is that they actually had 10 days before, and now we're still going to have the same 10 days, but just moving it backwards of 1 day, but it still is giving them 10 days. Is that right, Ms. Myers?
Not quite, Mr. Malinowski.
Okay.
Previously, it was essentially 7 working days.
Oh,
And without the proposal to change it to 10 working days, that would reduce it to 5 working days, because it would have to be due to the clerk's office by the Wednesday to get it to you all on that Thursday. So it reduces by a day, and that doesn't include any of the weeks that have county holidays. What I did with the proposed change based upon the motion made last week, where it was requested that staff give language necessary to change the rules, I made it so that staff still had the same amount of time, and that wouldn't impact the ability of staff to review documents. Now, if you guys don't want that and want to leave that rule as is and just move the Horizon up, I can give a different worksheet that shows you what that looks like in terms of when staff documents will be due if we don't change rule 4.7, I believe it is.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. No, I'm not trying to give you less time. I just wanted to clarify, because when people start saying, oh, well, this is a staffing issue, essentially you've got the same staffing issue, you just have it on a different day. So thank you for making those updates, and thank you for fixing what could have been problematic for staff. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome, Ms. Newton, and Ms. Myers, thank you for explaining that again. You feel that by taking this from the 7 to the 10 days, it will help you all in getting things done as needed, correct?
Yes, sir. If I could draw you all's attention to page 15 of your packet.
Yeah, I saw that.
I tried to give symbols so you guys would see basically, I mean, and this is a September, October, November. So September is I call it a special month because you have the back-to-back meetings. October is the normal month, and then it's followed directly with the special month in November because of the holidays. But if you notice there, it's essentially only maybe 2 weeks out of that time span where staff is not having to submit, doesn't have any type of briefing documents due. So that's where the lag comes in terms of, or you might see the delays in getting things turned around because staff is essentially putting all focus on briefing documents to turn those around in a timely manner to get them to the appropriate meetings. And that includes if during council meetings, there are any requests from documents from you all that have to be at the next council meeting for consideration, any agenda briefings that agenda addendums that have to be done. And that doesn't include briefing documents for any ad hoc meetings that you all may call in between those weeks as well. So this includes the 10 working days. This is not with a shortened time. This is with the 10 working days based upon the proposal. So I felt that that may illuminate what legal was speaking of about having that delay and getting things back to you, and that may impact how fast minutes are turned around as well from the clerk's office.
Okay, fine, thank you. And I thought that was good use of these little symbols. I liked looking at that chart you gave us. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Ms. Barron or Ms. Mackey, any comments? If Not.
I was just gonna say kudos to Ms. Myers for the chart. When I opened it up, I was like, it helped me tremendously track. Without words, it was great. Thank you so much for going the extra mile for that.
My pleasure.
Okay, Administrator Brown, your hand is now down. You still want to talk?
I do not. Ashia Myers drew your attention to what I was going to draw your attention to, and she
Okay.
threw it. So I'm done, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay. Any other comments on this particular item? If not, it is listed as an action item in our agenda. If everyone feels comfortable with trying this on a trial basis, we could do that and take the wording that Ms. Myers provided to us and ask that that be forwarded to the next council meeting for consideration of approval or denial. And if it goes forward, then I'd also like the chart to go with it. I think that's a great chart. So,
Mr. Malinowski, may I ask one more question before you
sure,
vote?
Ms. Newton, go ahead.
And again, I'm going to try to ask my question clearly. If we were to accept this recommendation, my question for staff, I guess, is there a preferred start date? Because sometimes when you're shifting deadlines between periods, it can create an awkward overlap. So there may be a time that is better to start, or maybe that was what was indicated already in the calendar. But if you were going to vote on it, it would be great if whenever it started was a date that didn't throw a monkey wrench into anything.
And I was actually going to ask about that, but now it's out there.
I dare not speak on behalf of the county attorney's office or the clerk's office. I personally would recommend doing it this September going forward, only because that gives us August, which is that month you guys don't have those meetings, to kind of get things worked out and to move forward from there. Because I feel like if we start now, when we get that may throw a wrench into how things are moved forward for April and May, just based upon how documents are due now, because staff is already operating off of that timetable.
So may I repeat that? So it's March.
Right.
So you're suggesting from your perspective and not clerk and attorney, that it's March, but that we not start until September?
Yes.
Okay.
Only to give staff, just because I know departments have been moving their documents based upon when they would be considered to council for things like contract renewals, et cetera. So if we shift, that may throw off how certain things have already been arranged in relation to procurement for certain things. So I don't want to accidentally say, sure, I don't think it's going to be a problem, and then not have talked to other departments to see for sure.
Sure. Then I guess for me, again, I don't want to throw a monkey wrench. That to me feels like a long time. I guess I would wonder if maybe as part of the motion, that could be something that was reviewed, because it could be that it would be a monkey wrench and September would be the best day. And it could be that with additional discussion among the team, you might propose a different day. So maybe there's an option to have that opportunity that it would start by September, but that if staff looked at things and saw that it could start earlier, that it would.
I would be happy to go back and speak with any impacted staff to see if they would have any issues with starting sooner or any recommended dates, and get back to you all if you guys want to forward it with just that piece missing.
that would be up to the committee. That's just something that I would wonder. And of course, to your point, in making sure that all the appropriate staff is included.
Yeah, I myself was thinking that would have been a start date, that September 6th, because Ms. Myers took the time to already look ahead and figure out all these different items so that we would be able to get this started as a trial period. I also was thinking that because in August we don't meet other than the one meeting, that would be another reason for a good time to start it, because you're starting new after everything has been concluded from previous work. So I was believing that was the reason for the dates up there, is that was going to be a recommended start date. But if somebody wants to put something else up there, that's fine.
Mr. Malinowski.
Ms. Barron.
And so while I do understand the timing of the August, September date, it just seems so very far away. It does. It seems so very far away, and taking into consideration staff and their current schedule and procurement and all those things, I would be a little leery to insert it, while I'm wondering, as Ms. Myers has stated, that perhaps we hold on to this for another meeting and see if Ms. Myers can speak with staff to see if September is the best time, or if they see that it is feasible to start sooner, looking at what they have currently on their plate. I think that when it goes to council, it needs to be fully packaged.
I can agree with that. Thanks for bringing that up. Ms. Myers.
And-
Go ahead, Ms. Mackey.
Sorry, I just wanted to say for the record, I am okay with starting in September. I do think it is a kind of a big undertaking at this time to change staff's entire process. And it is, a few months away, but based on, I think, the calendar and the workload that is already in front of them, what's to come with budget preparation and all those other things, I can see September being an adequate start time. And based off of this great chart that she's provided, I think it gives staff enough time to get going. So for what that's worth.
Ms. Myers, Ms. Mackey does point something out there as far as budget time when it comes up. Would the budget, when we have all of the different meetings for the budget, could that have a negative effect on moving this up earlier or not?
Yes, just mainly because I know how very involved Mr. Hayes is with his team's preparations for budget. To add this schedule may impact his office's operations in terms of their focus during that time.
Okay. I also like the fact though that Ms. Barron mentioned, let's make sure we do vet it fully. And if you would not mind, maybe you can go forward and ask the various departments, is it possible to, would they be comfortable bringing it forward sooner than this September date, and we can keep it in committee until then?
Certainly, so I'll be glad to do so.
Thank you. Mr. Ratio, your hand is up.
Yes, thank you. So I know that we mentioned that this would be considered on a trial basis, and I may have missed if we said how long we would consider the trial. I know that's kind of looking off far into the future, but did we consider, are we thinking like 6 months would be enough to know if it's going to work?
I don't believe we have discussed that yet. We just keep saying the word trial. So, and I think I would take the recommendation of staff to let us know when they bring back additional information at the next meeting, how they feel it would work. In other words, how much time do they need to determine that this is a viable working option or not?
Yes, sir. I'll be sure to add that as well.
Okay, thank you. Because I think it's just good to have some clear boundaries on it.
Agreed. Okay, you done, Mr. Ratio?
That's all I need.
Thank you. Ms. Barron?
Yes, sir. So I would like, as Ms. Myers is rallying the troops to determine how we will move forward, if you will also consider when speaking with staff, if September, if you all believe that we can move this forward, to present us with a tentative date that you would feel comfortable with. And then I think that when you come back to us with your report, then it will dot all of our I's and cross all of our T's with all of our questions, whether it's how long the trial is, can we move it up? And if we can move it up, when? And then I think we would be ready. I know I would feel a little more comfortable with moving it to council at that point.
Yes, ma'am. I'll be sure to provide definitive dates for you all.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so if the committee so desires, I would accept a motion if you'd like to keep this in committee for the various reasons that were mentioned. And as far as a date for the next meeting, I'm guessing it would be the 16th, which is the next council meeting date also. And if that's, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay, got a motion for all that I just said, I guess.
Yes. Yes.
All right, and do we have a second?
Second, sir.
Okay, so a motion and a second, keep it in committee. And we will have Ms. Myers go out and reach out to departments to find out how they feel comfortableness wise as far as a trial start date, about how long the trial period should be. And with all that information, we'll look at it next time, which would be put as an action item on our agenda for March 16th. So with that, Ms. Black, if you will call for the vote, please.
Becker, Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. The next item, I don't know why this was put for action. I can explain it though for the new members. 5B, unless there are truly extenuating circumstances, agenda items should not be listed as title only. Somebody getting information late to us is not extenuating. This only gives the public 2 opportunities to see an item prior to final approval by council, when in fact there should be 3. I brought that up because there were so many items that were coming to council, and the only thing there was an actual heading, a title, and we always had written there title only, but there were no details. Now we always say, well, there are 3 readings, including a public hearing. But in doing it that way, we actually reduced it to only technically 2 readings, because the first one, nobody knew anything about, didn't have any information to comment on. And if you weren't able to be around or make the next meeting, possibly, you're now down to the 3rd reading when all questions and vetting has possibly been done. And you maybe didn't have all the details. And when I say you, I'm referring to the public having all the details to comment back to council. So that was the reason I put that in there. Of course, you know, you can have, there's nothing against the law with having title only. To me, it's kind of like voting on the blank check and saying, let's approve that we're going to give this blank check to Bill Malinowski and we'll worry about the amount putting it in later. So those are my concerns with that. And I don't know that there's a good way of doing this or not.
Mr. Malinowski,
Yes, Mr. Livingston.
I look back at and over 95% of those, about 95% of those items are economic development items. Why don't we at least get some kind of response from economic development in terms of how it might impact them, because that's 95% of the title on items.
Okay, and you're right. I think the majority are economic development matters for title only. So if we could get that, Ms. Black, if you would try to find out from economic development, maybe is there another way that we could, yeah, if nothing else, to me, Mr. Livingston, I don't know why, if you don't attend the economic development meeting where you hold an executive session and the basic info is provided, why we can't at least put this as an executive session item to give some basics on it when you're going to do title only, for the council to at least know.
Well, you can. It's just the big part of confidentiality. So that's why I'm saying let's just talk to economic development person to see what's the best way to handle it.
Well, I understand the confidentiality. That's why I said executive session for the council. So,
yeah, I think that's a possibility, right?
Yeah. Okay, I've got Ms. Barron and then Mr. Ratio.
So I think to this point, Mr. Malinowski, at the end of the day, this is more about transparency than anything.
Right.
And to make sure that, you know, the citizens of Richland County are fully knowledgeable about what's on the agenda and its details, and to some degree, council members even. So with that, I would just say, you know, we know that economic development is one of those topics that we don't want to provide as much information. So could we not move forward with this action item as written, but excluding economic development? So it would say that, you know, if you're not a part of economic development, or this title only does not apply to economic development.
I would be fine with that. And like I say, the reason that I put it there also, as you just sort of point out, is you'll get somebody putting an item on the agenda and they're saying, well, it's entitled only because we just got this last week Friday and didn't have time to give you the details. Well, that's why I said that, because you didn't give them to us. We've got rules to follow, and outside agencies need to realize that, like they would want us to follow theirs, they need to follow ours. So that is I think that's a good suggestion. If you're done with that, I'll go to Mr. Ratio.
Yes, I'm finished, sir.
Okay, Mr. Ratio.
Thank you, Mr. Malinowski. I would also be open to having a little explanation in executive session during full council meetings, because not all council members can attend the economic development meetings. I would also say that, you know, Ms. McBride, when she gave the report of the Economic Development Committee last meeting, just gave some details. And so I would also advocate for whatever details can be made public like they were last meeting. If it's an investment amount, if it's a job amount, if it's job, you know, what kinds of jobs they are, you know, just anything that would be helpful.
I like that. You're right. If we could get a little something without divulging the real specifics as far as the identity of the company is the big thing when it comes to the confidentiality, I'd be fine with that also. So maybe we should keep this here and ask that staff provide us the information on this, or I think some language possibly from the legal department on how we can add this into our rules that says, you know, any matter relating to any matter coming to the council agenda will can't be title only with the exception of economic development, at which point economic development will provide basic information so that council members and the public know a little bit about what we're talking about. Anything else could go to executive session for further information if we would like. So if we can get Ms. McLean.
Yes, sir. I'd be glad to do that for you. I don't see any problem with that.
Okay, good. And I don't think we need a timeline. If you can't get it to us by the next meeting, this is not a time sensitive item. If something comes up that's more important, by all means, do it. Just when you get the opportunity, please bring it back to us, but try and do it before September or October.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we'll just hold that one in committee then for that information right there, okay? I guess I'm saying we'll hold it in committee. I think let's be fair about it and take a vote on it, that if we want to hold it in committee for that information that we're seeking, Ms. McLean to draft some type of wording for us to put in our rules, that would be my motion.
So moved.
Okay. And second, I'll second
Second,
it. Okay. Ms. Black, if you'll call the vote, please.
Sure. Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. The number 6A, we've got, I show about 6 minutes left here or less. Items for discussion. The very first one, boards, committees, and commissions, descriptions and duties. I reviewed this and I think we still are lacking some information. I know we're lacking some information. On many of these, we don't have any information about the meetings, the days, the times, where they meet. And I think we need to try to get that information. And we can probably get that information by when a vacancy comes up on one of these committees, tell them, hey, if you want us to try and staff your committee, we need this information that we've been asking for and you haven't given it to us yet. Let me stop right there. Ms. Newton?
Thank you, Mr. Malinowski. Really quickly, when I reviewed the information, I didn't see information like board member agreements, et cetera. So I don't know if that's information that we would want to request for those organizations that have them as samples. For example, I know that the Richland Library does have an agreement that they share with all of their board of trustee members that they expect them to sign, and other groups may also have one.
Okay, you're talking about for those people that are voted on to be seated on those boards, correct?
Yes. And if you're going to be expected to abide by something once you're appointed, it would be helpful to see it before you say yes.
It was written in this little write-up. Yeah. I think so.
Or a link to where those materials are housed on the organization's
So we
website.
need to get that in there also, Ms. Black, in moving forward on these items. And they're well, let me give somebody else a chance to talk. Anyone else? Ms. Barron, Ms. Mackey?
I thought, when reviewing the information for the organizations of the ones that we received, they range from the meatiest of the meat and where, it lists the qualifications, all of those details down to 2 or 3 sentences in some cases.
Right.
And maybe this is something that we should push for the organizations to craft. And that is so that we have some type of uniformity. And that is, if we have one organization that's going to, like LRADAC spills out what the qualifications of their board members are. So if that is something that we would like to see, which I think is very helpful for someone who is looking to join a particular board or commission, then having this information up front would be helpful. And I think that, it's not too much for us to ask of these organizations, given that we're staffing their boards for them. And, it will in return, I think, help council members when they are looking to recruit from their district, if they can say, hey, go here. This is where you can find all the qualifications, and these qualifications are consistent. The information may be different, but the format and what we're asking these organizations to present to us are consistent.
I agree. And the one thing, Mr. Livingston, I see your hand. Go ahead. We've only got a couple of minutes left.
Mr. Malinowski, if we want specific information, I don't know that we have it or not, but we are the ones who need to create the template to get the information we want. If we want specific information from everybody, create a template and give it to everybody.
You're right. And I'm not sure when we had Ms. Roberts, how she was doing it. I know she was sending emails and calling people up, trying to get certain information. I don't know exactly what information, but the template's a good idea too. Let's create that. And I'm willing to work with the
Yeah.
clerk's office in trying to get this, and everybody can send some suggestions in. But as you said now, Ms. Barron, I just point to the township auditorium one on page 21, where it says the board of directors shall not be less than 7 or more than 15, as determined by the board of directors. Then it says members are appointed by Richland County Council or appointed by invitation from the board of directors. Well, with that, we could have no say in who's running on the township, and everybody could get together and put their cronies in there. And next thing you know, we don't know what's going on with the township. And that's one that we put a lot of money into and own. So I think we need to come up with some definite, requests on how that's done in some of these others too.
And that may be something that we would want to work, really work through with giving them some, as the chair, Chairman Livingston stated, a template that says this is what we want in these particular categories. And even if I would avoid a question answer kind of document, but more of this information needs to be included.
Right.
And give them the layout, or if they just give us the information, then the clerk's office can format it as such.
Right. I wrote that down template, and I'll get with the clerk's office and talk to them about this. And if you'd want to send me some info as to what info you think you should have in there, then I'll forward that to them also.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Livingston, your hand is still up. Are you done? It's also
I'm
5
done.
o'clock.
I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Newton, can you email me or?
Yes, I can do that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, then let's take a vote for adjournment. First, we'll need a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Black, it's unanimous.
Yes, sir. Motion passes.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.